Hi, my name is Francois Nordia, and I am a super teacher, and this is Super Teachers Unite, the show that is all about motivating, inspiring, and supporting teachers. And this is quite a great episode, a cool episode. I can't wait to introduce my guest to you. Those of you that are viewing this on video, you would be able to see the split screen. We've got Shari Joseph with us. I wanted to say in the studio, but that's not the case. This is also our first ever lockdown interview, but also our first ever interview with a live studio audience. So for everybody that is part of our audience currently, thank you very much for being here. But Shari, a big thank you to you. Thank you for being on the show.
No, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to have everyone who's tuned in today.
So thanks for this. I'm going to jump on into our episode very soon. I just want to ask everybody that is currently with us live in the audience. I've got two questions in the poll. So if you look down at our platform, there's polls down here. I've got two questions I need you to answer, or two things you need to vote on. At the end of this episode, Shari and we're going to do something new that I've got planned for the show, where myself and the guest are going to design a lesson on the go, like impromptu. We're just going to design a lesson and see where that goes. I think that could be quite valuable. So in the polls, please go and vote. There's two things you can vote on. Number one would be a subject, and number two would be a phase within the schooling system. And then when we get to that section of the episode, the two of us, we're going to design a lesson with the help of our audience, of course. So with everything being said, Shari, maybe just give us a short introduction, who you are and what is it that you do?
So essentially, I see myself as an edutechpreneur. I'm the founder and managing director of the Eduvation Network. Eduvation is an online platform that hosts a variety of courses that are geared towards teacher professional development, particularly SACE accredited courses. And beyond that, I see myself as someone who looks to provide technology solutions to the education space. So not only through teacher professional development, but also through the other venture, which Francois is also involved in, WIL Tracker. So yeah, that's essentially how I would think of myself.
Yeah, so full disclosure here, Shari and I know each other very well, and it's such a privilege to actually do an interview for the show with my business partner. So this is quite interesting. The two of us met, what's it now, almost 4 years ago, because you guys reached out to me because of the Super Teachers Unite channel. The channel was very new, a few episodes in. You already reached out and you said, listen, we want to get involved. We don't know how yet, but we like the work that you're doing. We're doing something similar. How can we get involved? And I still remember I was in the car and I got the inbox message on Facebook and I was like, wow, I didn't expect anybody to actually be viewing the content that I put out on social media. And here you were. And from there on, we just had this business and friendship relationship. So I think that's how I remember the two of us being introduced.
No, you're definitely right. I think at the time we really felt that you were someone who could relate to what we were doing or trying to do. And at that stage, Eduvation was very much a new thing. Technology was something that was frowned upon and teachers were scared to train online. I mean, I think times have really changed in that sense. But it was great to have someone like yourself to sort of assist us with your videos, to showcase what was possible, to speak about the types of topics that we had on the platform at that time. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely been an awesome to get to know you over the years. And I mean, who would have thought that by messaging someone on Facebook, it turned into a whole business, essentially.
I mean, that's the power of social media. And I think we are still underestimating the power of social media and what it can do for us. But I just want to take you back maybe to those early days of the Eduvation Network. Maybe tell us, why did you start the Eduvation Network? And when we focus on teacher professional development, how did you see that change within, let's say, the last 4 or 5 years?
So my background is education policy, which I got my master's in. And I always thought I would go the route of being an academic. I always thought, my whole premise was, how can I change teaching through some sort of policy changes? But I soon realized that you actually need to do something practical to make a difference. It's all very good and well saying, yes, you must change the policy, but how does that policy influence what's happening in the classroom, essentially? So I soon thought to myself, well, I need to find another way that I can try and make a difference within education. And my passion was always, how can I upskill teachers? Because, of course, teachers are one of the most important pieces to the education pie. I got to a stage where I was very fortunate enough to have access to the resources to build a platform like Eduvation. And the most important thing at that stage was, how can I be different? Because I don't want to just have workshops live workshops, face-to-face workshops. And how can I do something that will change what's going on in education, especially at that time? So that's sort of how Eduvation was born. It was a very new space for me in terms of technology. I never came from a place that understood putting a platform together. So it did require a lot of help that I had to get external help at that stage from developers to put it together. And then it took a lot of work to actually get content providers who were willing at that point in time to give me something and to put it online. Because at that stage, they were like, why on earth would I want to put my workshop that I offer face-to-face online? And they didn't really see the value of having an extension to their business or having a space that they could interact with teachers once the workshop had taken place. So it was difficult at first. And I can say that over the years, I think people have become more comfortable with using technology as a whole. But I think teachers have started to see that technology is not that scary. The fact that it's accessible at any time is the convenience factor of technology is also something that certainly has changed. And just generally speaking, the connectivity is also, the reach of that is widened. So it is possible to access content, from wherever you are, really, even if it's on your phone. That definitely has helped the situation. And I have to say the current situation of COVID-19 has definitely put us all in the deep end and taught us that technology is okay. It's not that scary if you trust and you get assistance from people who do know, and there's a lot of resources and sort of free help out there that's possible. So, I mean, these days it's not uncommon to say, oh, do a course online. I mean, you can do a full degree online. So why can't you do a little professional development course?
Exactly. And 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, that wasn't necessarily the case. It wasn't mainstream. People didn't know about online workshops or online degrees or online qualifications. And the offering at that time was very limited. I mean, why would a teacher in any case want to upskill themselves? Why is it necessary for a teacher to because we've got our degrees after all. We've spent 4 years, we've gone through the hell of university, and now still people are expecting of us to keep on learning. So getting teachers enthusiastic about doing professional development, even in a face-to-face modality, because they have to do it either after school or they have to do it over weekends or worse during holidays. And so getting teachers motivated to do even face-to-face workshops and professional development, that was a challenge and still is a major challenge. And now adding on top of that a layer of, okay, do it now online when people don't have connectivity or people are very scared of technology, adds an extra dimension of difficulty. So I can remember back in 4 years ago how difficult it was to get teachers to buy into the concept of doing their professional development online. And I think one of the fun things I tried to bring to the marketing back then is like, you can do this in your pajamas. You don't have to wear suits and ties and your fancy school clothes and still go and spend an afternoon in traffic and go do your professional development. Yeah, you can do it in your own time whenever you want, and it's like racked up over time. So have you seen during COVID-19 and the lockdown, have you seen like an uptick in professional development being done online, or what is the case for you been in the last 3 months?
I would say that at the beginning, yes. Whereas currently, so what are we now, about 8 weeks in, it certainly has sort of quietened down. I think that the focus has more become about online teaching than a teacher doing professional development online. And I think that's teachers at the end of the day are also parents, and the fact that they are now looking after their own children plus they're teaching, I don't know if they have as much time as they would usually have, to even do stuff online. So from that point of view, I would say initially yes, but currently it's sort of dulled down a bit. But nonetheless, I mean, I think the fact that teachers are now using technology for me is a huge win, regardless of professional development. I think that because of what's happened now, in the future, it will open up the possibility of doing more online training rather than face-to-face training.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk going around that the lockdown actually caused what is termed acceleration of adopting online platforms and online learning. Even if you look in the retail space, I mean, more people are going to shop online because of the pressure that was put on us. You can't go out, you can't go shop. So how do you buy your essentials? How do you buy things? You go buy it online. And now that push is actually going to spill over into other sectors like education, because we are more comfortable with, for instance, payment procedures, because that could be a major deterrent for people. If you're afraid, you think it's not a safe platform, why would I pay money over the internet to do a course or to buy something? Now that you have got experience with the platforms for instance, Take-A-Lot or Mr. Delivery or any of the online stores, now you're feeling more comfortable with also doing other services online. So I think what COVID-19 and what the lockdown has provided for us is this acceleration that teachers might feel more comfortable with moving into an online space to do, first of all, online teaching, as you said, a very important aspect, that teachers become more comfortable with teaching online. So, Shari, thank you for that. Typically, I ask my guests to provide value to the audience with regards to the specific thing that you spoke about or they speak about, and you've already provided so much value with us. But I don't want to interject with the plan that you had to share with our audience. So, by all means, the floor is yours. What is it that you would like to discuss with teachers or add value to teachers?
I think where I can definitely add value is, again, kind of ties back to what we've already spoken about, and that would be around creating a network or a safe space for teachers to train. And for me, that's essentially at the core of Eduvation. And it's not just about training, it's also about creating a place that teachers can feel safe and communicate with one another, that they can access resources. So it does extend just beyond doing a course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And what I was also thinking about, that it's not only for teachers that are currently practicing, but now we've also started venturing into the student teacher market, because that's quite an area that's been lacking. We tend to think that the universities and the training institutions only, it's their responsibility to focus on the training of teachers, of student teachers. And then when teachers are actually practicing them, then it's a whole different ball game. Those teachers need to be trained by the service providers that do, or by government or the Department of Education. And there's been that chasm, that split between the two worlds, where the two of us now got started on WIL Tracker. Maybe just speak to us about the training of student teachers and the platform of WIL Tracker.
So WIL Tracker essentially is a platform that facilitates mentorship between a mentor teacher, that is a qualified teacher, and a student teacher who's obviously studying. But further than that, it also allows for internship opportunities or work integrated learning opportunities that a student teacher needs to complete as part of their degree, to be actually booked and evaluated all online. So what we have with WIL Tracker is a sort of an ecosystem that we put together that's all related. So we've got our universities, which obviously our students are associated with. We've got our evaluators, who are those who evaluate the students when they are doing their WIL practicals or internships. And then we've got our schools, which are obviously an integral part in the whole process. We've got our teachers, as in mentor teachers who belong to these schools, and we've got our student teachers. So what WIL Tracker does is it brings all these entities together. It allows for, as I said, you can book your workshop online, well, your internship rather, not your workshop. And you can also submit all your documentation all online. So there's no longer the need to run around to try to find a school to go and do your WIL practical. There's no longer a need to worry about submitting all these papers to your lecturer or whatever it might be as a university student. And from a school perspective, there's also the ability for the school to see exactly what's going on in the school, who's coming to the school, how many placements are available is determined by the school. And from the teacher's perspective, at the end of the day, as a teacher, you are adding immense value to the life of a student teacher by being their mentor and by teaching them, how to be the best possible teacher.
I like this notion that you mentioned that it creates this ecosystem, or it brings the ecosystem together. What would you think is a benefit for a teacher to be so closely involved with the student teacher?
Well, at the end of the day, I think people learning from others. I mean, it's all very good and well that you have textbooks and courses and degrees, but that doesn't give you the practical aspect of teaching. The only way to learn how to teach is to physically be in the classroom. Mm-hmm. So why not do so with a teacher who has experience in doing so, who can guide you and give you tips on how you could be better, or how you could do your lesson planning better, or how you might be able to use a piece of technology better, or discipline the kids in your class, whatever it might be. So for me, the mentorship aspect of teaching is vital. And I think that's something that, to a large extent, if I had to criticize the way that teaching is taught in this country, especially from a degree point of view, it's almost like there should be more time spent in the classroom, because if you do 8 weeks in a whole year, is that enough? And that's why I think there's a lot of value in actually teaching and studying at the same time for those teachers who are intern teachers in schools.
Yeah, I agree with you. And as one of the major criticisms that I think that a lot of people have on the training of student teachers is that we're not spending enough time in practice. There's even an academic term for this. They talk about the theory-practice divide. Mm-hmm. Because when you sit in a lecture hall and you have all the theory and you get bombarded by all of the assignments and assessments you need to do, and the focus on the practicality and the skills and the values that you need to have as a teacher, you typically pick that up in a partnership with an experienced teacher. But that process, as it's currently standing, is very tedious. I mean, I know a few schools that really have a very structured and organized way in which they deal with student teachers. In many cases, a student teacher or teachers would just find out from maybe the deputy principal or the principal. They would find out in the mornings, listen, okay, I've got students here, I'm just going to put them in your classroom. It's almost this haphazard approach to training teachers, which is sad. But the other benefit, of course, I would presume, is for a teacher, that if you've got a student teacher that is linked with you, is that you get to share the workload. Now, I don't know whether you've experienced this with student teachers before, but a very bad mentor teacher can do a lot of harm to a student teacher. I don't know whether you agree with that.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, it's like having a bad role model, and then that you think that whatever they're teaching you is the correct way of going about things. Mm-hmm. So it's crucial, as you've already said, to have quality teachers that when it comes down to mentoring, these teachers can actually influence student teachers positively to, again, create more teachers that can then be mentors, essentially. So it's just a cycle that goes around.
Exactly. You perpetuate these bad habits. I mean, I've seen many teachers, when they get a student, they put the student, like, throw them in the deep end. They just say, listen, you're going to teach this class, I'm going to do admin. And then you never see your mentor teacher ever again. Or just if they pop in to see if people are still alive. And that's not the way in which we should mentor students. It's definitely, you should scaffold, you should be there, you should support as the mentor teacher. And I think very few teachers really take the mentorship of a student teacher very seriously, and I can understand why, because of all of the workload and other pressures that teachers are under. But thank you for elaborating on that a bit. I know you're also involved a lot with the logging of CPTD points, and you're quite I almost wanted to say well connected, because you quite are within SACE. Maybe if you can share with us the process. What is the CPTD thing? Why should we get points? Is it even worth it?
Well, I would say it is worth it, but then again, I might be a bit biased. So essentially, your CPD is or CPTD, as it's called for teachers, is your continual professional teacher development. So yes, as Eduvation, we are actively involved in assisting teachers to load their points or log their points. But more than that, we just try to educate teachers around how you can get your points, because there's a lot of miscommunication, misinformation that's given by SACE. And let's face it, SACE is not the most organized body by any means. There's a lot of flaws in the procedures that SACE the ways that SACE goes about doing things. So yeah, we try to also be a space that if teachers need help with their registrations, we can assist them. We can assist them down to what forms do they need. We can do their fingerprints for their police clearance, and we can submit everything to SACE on their behalf, and they simply get their certificates back when it's been done. So on that level, and when it comes to the points, also just to be a space that we can educate teachers to say to them, right, well, getting your points is not that scary. You get 3 different categories when it comes to doing your points. You get your type 1 points, and something like this is a great example. You are listening or watching something that is adding value to you as a teacher, hopefully. But the idea is that you can watch anything, whether it is a YouTube video, whether it is a podcast, whether it is reading a book, watching an educational program. All of those sorts of things can be claimed under type 1. That category is self-development. So that doesn't require any money to be spent, but it does require some initiative to be taken. That's the only thing. And then type 2 points, again, these points do not really require money. These types of points are known as the school-initiated category. So anything that your school organizes, if your school has a speaker, if your school organizes a teacher from another school to come talk to teachers in a department, even if your HOD presents to other teachers in their department, all those sorts of things where there is some sort of sharing of knowledge between teachers, but it happens within the school environment, would count towards your type 2. And lastly is your type 3. Now, these are the ones that cost money, but the good thing is that SACE have recently shifted the boundaries in terms of how many points you need to get in each category. And they've made it so that type 3, I think you only need now about 30 points in a 3-year cycle. So the majority of your development actually comes out of your school environment and your personal growth, which makes a lot more sense, because there's a lot of complaints from teachers saying, well, how can I afford to pay for courses? My school doesn't pay for my courses. I mean, some teachers are fortunate, of course. Mm-hmm. So the type 3 essentially are courses or workshops or online courses that have been accredited by SACE. You'll find that there's a points weighting given to the workshop. And from there, the teacher knows, okay, great, this workshop's worth 5 points or 7 points, whatever it might be. And then they can log those points. Mm-hmm. And what then happens is you'll find that teachers have to fill in a register when they attend these accredited workshops. That register gets submitted to SACE, as well as the teacher logs the points or the fact that they attended, and SACE then consolidates the information. Mm-hmm. So because SACE is a system that doesn't work too well, Eduvation has, as part of a profile, when you register on Eduvation, we have a digital portfolio of evidence. And that's a space where teachers can actually put in exactly what they're doing, and then we would take that and submit to SACE. So it's supposed to be a way that allows for the hassle to be taken out of it, because as I said again, SACE's portal is not user friendly by any means.
Yeah, and I think many teachers would agree with you there. I myself have tried logging points on that system, and it's not intuitive whatsoever. And I've actually spoken to a representative at SACE, and I told them, listen, our teachers, and this is not what I'm saying. Teachers in general are complaining because the website is often off, or it's not really user friendly. It's difficult to use, and I just got the most blatant, I almost want to say disrespectful answer, in that this representative from SACE just said, well, the teachers are using it wrong. There's nothing wrong with the website. The website is fine. The teachers are using it wrong. And I absolutely flipped when I heard that. I mean, you need to have empathy with teachers, and you can't have, and I think this is one thing you can talk to us about a bit more, because I know you guys also do a lot of web development for education companies, is that you can't have a website that's difficult for your users to navigate. I mean, we're teachers after all. Yes, we've got degrees. Yes, we're intelligent people, but we don't want to be struggling with logging points and stuff that you are forcing down on us.
No, for sure, it's extremely important to have something that's easy, that works. I mean, if you want to be the body of all the teachers in the country, then how on earth can you be so disorganized? I mean, even in the current crisis, of course, SACE is not open to the public. But what SACE have said is, just email us your application. They don't give any information on what documents does a teacher submit, what is actually required. They just say email stuff, and then we end up with these panicking teachers who are emailing us and saying, I submitted my application in February, I haven't heard anything, what do I do? And it just caused more panic than anything. So from that point of view, user experience, no matter what sort of website platform you're using, is essential.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But I want to come back to this thing of professional development. I mean, the CPTD points are important, and it's part of the regulatory body, and you want to ensure that teachers keep on improving. But it can't be this external thing, because what a super teacher would do is want to improve their practice either way, whether they're receiving points for it or not. And I think that's the mind shift and the mentality we should have. It's like, I want to improve. I want to try and be the best possible teacher I can be. Let me go and look for resources that's going to assist me in improving what I'm doing. Where my challenges are, where can I find the solutions? And you've said the three different types of points are actually correlated or linked to those activities. I can go and look for solutions and try to improve myself on my own. And therefore, we've got YouTube videos. I mean, that's one of the reasons I started my YouTube channel, is to assist teachers. That's why we've got this podcast, is to assist teachers. If you listen to the episodes, if you watch the YouTube videos, if you're part of the community, you can log points for that. But that's a secondary thing. The primary thing should be gaining the knowledge, gaining the skills to improve your practice. Another way of doing it, as you mentioned, is the school can arrange activities, and it doesn't have to cost money. As you said, the HOD or the principal, or even just a knowledgeable peer, can do a 1-hour workshop, and the entire school can claim points for that. So I really like that. Wow, I'm seeing our time is moving on. So I want to shift gears quickly and talk about you a little bit. So I typically have these quick fire questions I ask my guests, but they don't really remain as quick fire questions because we tend to elaborate. But and of course now I'm adding the lesson design challenge, so I have to start cutting on certain things. But what I really want to know, you deem to be your superpower?
That's maybe a hard one. I think when it comes to being, I would say I'm a good listener, and to some degree I can say I'm compassionate. And I think that, those are two essential things. When it comes to working in education particularly, you have to be compassionate. You need to sympathize with teachers, as you said. And you need to be able to listen, because government to me doesn't always listen. They hear what they want and they do what they want.
So that's very interesting, because I think I've spoken to a few guests now already. I think we're up to 16 episodes on the Super Teachers Unite show, where I interview other people and successful people, the superheroes of education. And this is probably the third or the fourth time that a CEO of a company uses listening as their superpower. And you would think that in education that people talk a lot, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe we talk too much and we listen. We don't listen enough. So I agree with you. And working with you, I can definitely say that listening, and of course the compassion part and empathy that you show by putting yourself in the shoes of the teachers that you work with, is one of the major reasons for your success and the success of the companies that you're involved in.
Yeah, I mean, I think my kind of way of trying to help education and help teachers and help education as a whole would be through, if you had to say, like, my superpower would be providing technology solutions in a roundabout way, if I had to think about it. So how do I try and solve the problem?
Which is
well.
quite cool.
Yeah.
If you look at Batman, I mean, Batman doesn't have these supernatural powers. He's very skilled in what he does, but he's got equipment that he uses in smart ways. And I like that idea. Almost this Tony Stark, Iron Man type of thing. Like you design the technology that helps other teachers. And I think that's amazing. Shari, tell me about like your super teacher, a teacher from your past that really made an impact, and what it is. You don't have to mention any names if you don't want to, but tell us about that teacher that really made an impact in your life.
So I went to high school in the UK, and I think that I was about 11 when we moved over there, and we moved back to South Africa when I was about 16. And during that time, I actually encountered two teachers that really influenced me. One of those teachers was an IT teacher, and somehow he always just saw potential in me. It didn't matter what or how, it didn't matter how much I doubted myself. He always believed in me. And the other one was actually a physics teacher. Now, I didn't actually like physics. Honestly and truly, it probably was one of my least favorite subjects next to maths, because I'm certainly more of a languagey type of person, or artsy type of person. And we went to a parents' evening, and she said to my parents, "Oh, Shari should be a physicist." And I was like, "What, are you talking about?" But I think, she also, again, just there was something that she saw in me that I had never seen in myself. That sort of said to me, well, anything is possible. Yes, I might think I'm good at X, Y, and Z, and that type of thing. But I think what I'm trying to get across here is that for me, the teachers that influenced my life were those who saw something in me that I didn't really see in myself, which then enabled me to realize that, if you just work hard and you put your mind to it, you can do anything. And I think that, again, ties back to the fact that teachers have a major role in society, and people don't always see that. They just think they're teaching content of the curriculum.
Yeah, no, that's amazing that you had exposure to a teacher like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm asking this question as part of the interviews, is for the teachers listening, we need to try and distill and identify what are those characteristics of super teachers. What are the things that teachers do that really make an impact? And by listening to other people's stories about how teachers want to build relationships. And I think it comes down to this, is that teacher actually really cared about you and had enough interest in you, and then did something about it, or at least was vocal about it. So, but thanks for sharing that. And then the last one I'm going to ask, now before I get to the question, I'm going to ask everybody in our audience to please go and vote in the polls, because I'm seeing we've got a tie on some of so we need tiebreakers. So if you haven't voted in the poll yet, I need people to go and vote, because I need a tiebreaker before we can go on to the next segment of the show. But Shari, there's a lot of anxiety with teaching. There's a lot of workload placed on teachers and on people working within education. It's a stressful time, and I believe in mental health, and I believe teachers should take downtime and really look after themselves. So tell us a little bit about what you do in your downtime to recharge those batteries.
Yeah, so I came from a place where, a bit like you, Francois, my health wasn't really something that I put first for many, many years. So one thing that I found as my my relaxation was to join CrossFit. So essentially, exercise for me is certainly something that's become an integral part in my life, as a de-stressor, as something that just gets my mind clear, especially. But other than exercise, I really just enjoy listening to podcasts. I enjoy reading, although I don't do enough reading anymore. I used to do much more of it. Yeah, I enjoy spending time with my dogs and animals, those sorts of things. And of course, friends and family when we can see them again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but I think that's mostly what I enjoy doing. And I've started to do a few courses on just basic sort of coding, you see, because being someone who came out of education policy, I didn't have a background in coding. And it's not that I want to become a coder by any means. I have developers, but it's just to better understand how things work. And I think it's something that will add value to me as a person, but also to both WIL Tracker and Eduvation, to have a better understanding of how things function and when something's built, and to explain it to people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I know firsthand how busy you are and what you're busy with, and you're even taking time to do professional development and personal development on your side, because I think we understand this thing that we're going to live for another 100 years, most likely, given the way in which the medical technology is advancing. That's if COVID doesn't get you or you walk in front of a bus. But we know that we can't just rely on the knowledge we had in the past, and we have to keep on learning. So I like how you say that that's part of the way in which you're recharging is by learning. And I think a lot of teachers can find value from that. Okay, let's see if we've got a tiebreaker. We still don't have a tiebreaker. I need somebody in the audience to come and answer one of these poll questions, just so that we can have a tiebreaker. Otherwise, I'm going to make the executive decision. But before we get there, and we give the live audience chance to answer the question, my final question on a personal level: if you're currently like watching series or Netflix or Showmax or whatever, what's the current series that you're binging?
So I'm sort of the type of person who will watch many series at one time, and I am guilty of also downloading things before they come out in South Africa, as in on Netflix or Showmax. So the types of shows that I'm currently watching, I don't know if you've seen How to Get Away with Murder. That one's about to end in terms of, so that's more like a drama, type sort of series. Otherwise, I enjoy medical shows like The Resident and The Good Doctor. We started also rewatching all of the Big Bang Theory episodes, which is always fun, just as something different. And I watched the Tiger King documentary on Netflix recently, which everyone should watch because it's just so ridiculous.
Okay, cool. So I think that's the point of this question. Is just we've got very important people that we interview on the show, and even they find the time to watch TV and just to have downtime. And I think it's so important that we've got bubble gum for the brain, just chewing on something that doesn't get you anywhere. And I think a series like Big Bang Theory or Friends or stuff like that, You're just really watching it, even if it's in the background, it's like bubble gum for the brain. And I think that's quite important. Okay, we've got a tiebreaker. Thank you so much to the audience. So let me explain, because this is the first time we're doing it. Shari, thank you that I can use you as the guinea pig for this, but I'd really like to include more of this in the show going forward. I want to include, if we have a live studio audience, I'd like to include them in this as well. So what we're going to do, and I want to showcase how people can design lessons, because lesson design, especially for student teachers, is a difficult thing. I mean, how do you come up with an innovative lesson? And the point being, if you try and design a lesson in your own capacity, in isolation, you tend to come up with exactly the same things. So I'm going to start challenging my guests to assist me in designing a lesson. And if I'm going to ask the audience to also chime in, so in the chat, please give your ideas, and we're going to collaborate and put all of this together and see what kind of lesson we're going to come up with. But now the catch to this is I don't want us to focus on one subject, because I believe one of the issues in education is the fact that we are isolating our subjects. And we're like, now we're in the math class, and then we're in the Afrikaans class, and then we're in the science class, and now we're in art. When life is integrated, and we need to start teaching kids in an integrated fashion. So it starts with our lesson design, and we need to include aspects from various subjects in one lesson. So that's why in the polls I've given the choice of what's this 5 or 6 different subjects. I'm going to take the 2 that's been voted up by our audience, and that is coding and robotics and economic and management science. So we're going to combine these 2 subjects together, and I've got no idea how we're going to do it. But our audience is going to assist us with this also. So the 2 subjects we have is teaching coding and robotics, as well as EMS, economic and management science. And then we are teaching it to the foundation phase. So that's very, very interesting. So for grade R to grade 3. Now, this is now where we need the audience to assist us. So in the comments, in the chat, please give us 2 topics that you think we would need to teach to children in the foundation phase. One topic in coding and robotics, and 1 topic in economics and management science, because those 2 areas are quite broad. I mean, the 2 of us can now just thumb suck and think of any topic that comes from those 2 things. But I would really like to see what our audience suggests in that case. Now, Shari, you said that you are doing a course on coding and robotics. What is the content that you're currently learning?
So it's more about understanding how coding works. So it's that degree. So the language of coding, that's sort of where I'm at the moment. And then obviously it would be to actually code myself a little bit, to actually build something. So that's basically the assignment that I'll have to do, I think, in the next week or so. So obviously it's, like learning a new language, really.
Okay, cool. So I see Christine in our chat says we need to look at life skills. So that's an excellent part of the foundation phase curriculum to look at. Foundation phase curriculum is split into numeracy, so it's mathematics. It's split into languages, literacy part, and then there's a 3rd subject called life skills, which is like the black sheep of the foundation phase curriculum. People don't really focus on that. We tend to only focus on math and the languages, and then life skills get left behind. So life skills would be a great place to integrate this. So I agree. Thank you for that, Christine. I see Marie, you saying exactly the same thing. Life skills is a nice place where we can integrate these together. So Sita, you are saying, what is a budget? So from the EMS curriculum. Now, here's the thing. In foundation phase, there's no EMS. So we now need to be creative. What are we going to do with this? With the term, I like budget. I see Sanita saying the same thing. So life skills. So budget and robotics or coding. So now remember, this is foundation phase. So we need to break it down to its fundamentals, to the building blocks of these 2. So Shari, what are your ideas around foundation phase coding, EMS, and like budgets?
Well, I think since you are targeting very young children, when it comes to robotics, perhaps you could start off by just generally trying to explain to them how a mechanism works. So not, showing them I don't know, what's a good one? Like say a remote control car. I mean, I could be way out here, but just to show them that, how is this, explain to them, how is this thing powered? How does it work? To maybe look at basics, is like, how does a battery power, this sort of thing. So I don't know if I'm thinking in the right lines, but because it's such young kids, because how do you can't exactly teach them to code yet.
So you can't teach them complex coding language, but
Yes.
the idea of computational thinking, and this is what I want teachers to realize, is you can take this really down to the basic skills. And one of the 21st century skills that we need to think of is exactly that of computational thinking. So so I'm seeing, Marie, you mentioning in the comments like tuck shop money and how we spend tuck shop money. So now that's interesting. But how do we find the connection between tuck shop money and computational thinking? Shari, any ideas there?
I'm trying to think here.
This is a difficult.
Yes, no, it's difficult
exercise, and that's why I want to give a showcase this during the episodes. It's like designing a lesson isn't easy. People think the work of teachers, or the job of a teacher, is an easy thing. You just come up with something, you keep people busy. If you really want to make an educational difference, you need to really delve into the theory, into the practicalities of things. So
I think it is difficult. There's definitely a connection between the sort of way that in robotics, everything is sort of a calculated step to get to a destination of sorts. And in many ways, the same sort of thinking applies within EMS. So if you're teaching someone about budgeting, you're explaining a concept, but then in order to achieve that concept, you're physically doing something to get to that. And typically it is numerical in some way. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No,
So,
I think it does. So remember, this is the brainstorming part of the lesson design. Of course, you're going to flesh this out a lot better, and you're going to what you're going to do is you're going to place it out within a lesson plan is going to assist you. So I like what you just said there as a start. Let's see. Marie says robotics. You help them to navigate on a grid from one thing to the next. You plan what they buy and how much it costs. So there's an activity that we can already start thinking of. Christine says children can draw what robot they think we need in the times and make an art lesson from that. So I like how you want to combine art. That's a great one. And then Marie adds robotics and foundation phase start with coding, teaching them the use of a map or a grid. Nice. So now this is cool. It depends of course, the complexity of this is going to range, whether you're teaching grade R or whether you're teaching grade 3, because you know that certain concepts and skills have been laid in the different age groups. But now this is where you as a teacher start thinking, okay, maybe we've got a little grid, and it doesn't even have to be on a computer. And I want us to move away from this idea of coding and robotics has to happen in a computer or in front of a computer or with a device. When I was in Finland, I had a discussion with one of their grade 1 teachers, and they said, we teach computational thinking by having the kids design a recipe. Or basically what the teacher did, and I think this was amazing, is the teacher said, I'm a robot, and I only react on the instructions that you give me. Our goal is to make a sandwich. Okay. Here I am. I'm the robot. I'm standing in front of the sandwich of the desk with all of the ingredients. You give me the input, and I do exactly what you say. Just to teach that computational thinking, that the input has got an effect on the output.
That's a very nice way to do it.
I mean, it's a lot of fun because now the teacher disobeys the commands of the kids, or they act out the commands exactly like the kids input them, and then the kids have to go, oh no, let's okay, rephrase, let's recode the teacher. So that could be a lot of fun, and I think that's something that's missing from teaching, is we forget to bring in the fun. Maybe, and I'm hearing that nagging teacher telling me, what, we can't have fun because the curriculum is too full and we have to cover all the content. Let's see what we've got in the comments. Sunita, teaching learners to use the calculator to multiply by repeated addition, okay? Integration with math. And I think if we talk budgets, if we talk EMS, you can't really do that without mathematics. So here we already have another link. So already just in our discussion, we started off with coding and robotics and EMS. now our community brought in art and brought in mathematics. So already this is a nice theme or topic that's branching out. And Marie says, yes, you start by teaching them the robot can only do what you input. Okay, so
It's a good life skills one. Like whatever you put in, you get out type of thing.
Well, how cool is that? So it's not only, related to the coding and robotics, but here you're taking it to a socio-emotional level as well. Can you see how exciting it can be to design lessons? But I wouldn't have come up with the ideas and the thinking on my own. If I just had my normal YouTube videos and I'm talking to the camera, it wouldn't have been as exciting as collaborating with our guest, Shari, and then with the people in the comments. So thank you for that. It would be awesome. I would love for somebody in the community, whether you're watching this live or you're seeing it on Facebook or YouTube or you're listening to it on the podcast, if you design a lesson with everything we just said, let me know on the WhatsApp service that I've got. Let me know and we can share a lesson like that with everybody. Shari, before we end off the show, please tell us, where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you?
So in terms of Eduvation, you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. So it's just the Eduvation Network. And then for myself, I am at Shari Jo on Instagram, and I think it's Shari Joseph 21 on Twitter as well. And yeah, you can search for my name if you want to on Facebook. I'm always happy to engage in conversations with teachers. It doesn't have to necessarily be through the company itself. I'm open to talking to teachers on a personal level as well. So yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, if you need help with anything from professional development to CPD, logging your points, anything like that. I mean, obviously, I'm happy to chat and give the best advice that I can.
Awesome, thank you for that. And I think that's such a valuable value. Wow, great English. But for us to really embrace is this thing of collegiality and collaboration. Wow, my English is running out this late. But social media is there for us to build networks. It is a social network. So let's reach out to each other. I mean, you can, on Twitter, it's amazing to see. You can get a direct response from ministers in the cabinet, which you won't be able to get in any other platform in life. I mean, let's start using social media and reach out. And thank you for making yourself and your networks available for teachers to reach out to you. So thank you to everybody who joined us live and everybody who is watching or listening to this, whether it's in Facebook, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on the podcast. Thank you for taking time to being part of the Super Teachers Unite show. Please, on all of the platforms, if you can like or you can subscribe and share to your network of super teachers, that would really help us out. It's important to spread this message, to showcase what super teachers can do, because the whole aim here is to unite every single super teacher under one banner so we can make a positive difference. Until next time, my name is Francois Nordea, and with me, I've got Shari Joseph, and we are Super Teachers.